将由英文进行备由中文翻译，每位发表时间为15分钟。
I hope we're all here, and it's time for us to start session 5. And good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all, and thank you for coming. Today is a very fine day. First of all, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Akira OGUMA. Akira means rising sun. That's why today is a fine day. And Oguma means a small bear. Small bear. So that since my childhood days, people call me Kuma-chan, little bear. This is my nickname. I used to work for the Japan Foundation for many days. After retirement, I became, university teacher because I was so much interested to train younger generation, so that I taught for 10 years, and this spring I retired. So now I'm living my third life as a completely free. So I'm enjoying a very free and easy life. After a long struggle, I got this freedom, and today I'm going to moderate this session 5, but I'm very happy because I have lots of friends here at the University of Art, and I have lots of friends at Tanzan University because 2015 I was a visiting scholar to that university, making a research on Taiwan cultural policy. I thought this policy was made by the first minister, long in time, but actually not. Chanchinan Shinshan, he was the founder of this, cultural policy. Very interesting, very independent. So I love to make a research, and I love my people in Taiwan, so that today I'm very happy, one of the happiest men here. Okay, and now we are here today to talk about the role of cultural intermediaries in East Asian countries, such as Japan and Korea and Taiwan. And with the hope, as cultural intermediaries, each speaker will talk about their experience on its international cultural exchange and talk about its internal governance and relations with the government, private sectors, and individuals. This is a topic we are going to talk. And what is more, what kinds of cooperation will be possible in order to seek a potential international exchanges and partnership? This is also an important topic. Let me introduce today's two guest speakers. Please stand up. Mr. Hiroyuki KOJIMA. He is Managing Director of Planning Department of the Japan Foundation from Japan. And Dr. Kim He's a good friend of mine. Director of Cultural Leisure Policy Research Office, Korea Culture and Tourism Institute from Korea. And we have honorable guests from Minister of Culture, Mr. Hong Yi-ling, Director of Department of General Planning, Minister of Culture. 3 of them, okay? So let's start with the first speaker, Mr. Kojima. Would you please come up to the stage? His title is International Intermediaries in Asia, based on the experience of the Japan Foundation's recent project. Okay, please, I leave it to you. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for introduction. So today I'd like to introduce the activities of the Japan Foundation. And well, the Japan Foundation was established in 1972 as a Japanese semi-governmental organization, and this organization, the Japan Foundation, is dedicated to carry out the comprehensive international cultural exchange programs throughout the world. So we are basically doing the international cultural exchange. So the objective of our foundation, the activity of the foundation, is deepening mutual understanding between the people of Japan and other countries through various activities and information services, and create opportunity to people interactions. And I just would like to remind you that today or yesterday we talked about cultural intermediaries. And of course, this idea of cultural intermediaries can contain many things or many organizations. But I just want to point out that our foundation, the Japan Foundation, is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. And of course, we in Japan have Ministry of Education and also the Agency for Cultural Affairs. And under those, ministry and agency, we also have other cultural institutions as National Arts Center or Film Center, etc. So, although the Japan Foundation are dealing with international cultural exchange, it's in the context of rather, diplomatic activity rather than the pure cultural activities. And I also would like to mention here that the characteristics of our organization. And I know that in Taiwan too, you have Shinzhong the administrative agency, this system. And we in Japan too, we have this independent administrative agencies. I think this system was modeled after the UK's agency system. And this idea was come from new public management. So the important point is that, separating the policy making and maybe planning function, separating planning functions and operating functions of the policy. So in our case, usually the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are basically making the targets or objective of our activity. They plan, they give us the kind of midterm objectives. And in response to that, the Japan Foundation set up the midterm plan in accordance to these objectives. So we are now in the middle of fourth midterm plan starting last year. So the policy making, the ministry are doing the policy making, and Japan Foundation is doing the actual operation. But this is the idea. But actually, of course, we, the Japan Foundation, also somehow, doing the policy making together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So it's not such clear-cut separation. It's a kind of cooperation with Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Japan Foundation. But theoretically, this is a separation. And after, so in accordance, in line with the midterm plan, we do various kinds of cultural programs every year. And after the one, fiscal year ends, we need to do the self-evaluation and then report to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And they do their evaluation for us. This is every year thing. And after finishing the midterm duration, after 5 years, we will review the whole 5 years and report to the ministry. And then they will give us the kind of scorecard for the past 5 years. But this is the system of the independent administrative agency. So the idea, why do we need to separate these two functions? So of course, the Japan Foundation or independent administrative institutions are a part of the government in broad sense. But the different rules are applied to the independent administrative agencies in regards to the usage of budget or hiring personnel, etc. So we are somehow more freehand to operate by ourselves. So rather than just doing programs by the government itself, it's more effective and efficient to let the different body or more private sector-like body to do the programs. This is more efficient, effective. So that's why this system was introduced in Japan in year 2001. And now that more than 80 independent administrative agencies are in Japan. Those include the museums and some research institutes, etc. Okay, so now I talk about the budget of the Japan Foundation. Roughly speaking, there are three major sources of income of our foundation. The first is government subsidies for operational expenses. This comes from the government every year. And the second source is the investment revenue. As the name of our foundation shows, the Japan Foundation. So we have the endowment from the government. And we invest in, for example, governmental bond to use this endowment money. So we get return every year. That's the investment revenue. And the third is a donation from the private sector. So we get a donation from the companies as well as individuals. Among these three, the first one, the government subsidies now consists about almost 70% of our income. So that's the main source of our activity. Okay, and below you see the two pie graphs. The left side is the field of activity. I will explain later more in detail, but we have three major fields of our activity. One is arts and culture, and the second is Japanese language education, and the third is academic style exchange programs. So in this year, in fiscal year 2016, about 30% of our budget was used for arts and 24% to Japanese language education. But the portion of the ratio for budget for Japanese language education is increasing these days. And the Japanese studies and intellectual exchange, the academic style exchange, account for about 20% or so. And the right side is the ratio of the programs for by region. So East Asia and Southeast Asia, Asia consists of about 25 or 27%. And North America, 9%. And Western Europe, 9%. And Eastern Europe, 5%. So our three major priority area is Asia, North America, and Europe. These are our three major activity areas. Okay, then I talk about the two functions of Japan Foundation. So Japan Foundation has two characteristics. One is the grant-making foundation, and the second is operating foundation. So we give grants to the institutions and individuals through various kinds of grant programs. But at the same time, we organize various types of cultural exchange programs by ourselves. So we have two major characters. And then talking about the fields of activity, as I said, that we have three areas of activities. One is art-related exchange program. So we dispatch Japanese artists abroad to perform in the foreign public, or we organize visual arts exhibition in museum in foreign countries. Sometimes we support the co-production of artists Japanese artists and other countries' artists collaboration. And the second one is the Japanese language education. So, according to us,
we are not only, ordinary officers, but as take myself for instance. I used to work for the Japan Mission headquarters, but in 1980s, I was dispatched to Beijing in order to establish our office. And not only, working for the office, I try to understand, China, Chinese, cultures. I spent nearly 4 years over there. Then after coming back to the headquarters, again in 1992, I was sent to China, second time, as a director of the Beijing office, and spent 5 years. Then again I returned to headquarters. Then I asked to the top leader of the foundation. China is a big country, so only once, twice, it's not enough. I need more time to understand, their cultures and promote, China-Japan relations, cultural relations. Then I was sent to southern part of China. I was sent as a visiting, or professor to teach at Zhejiang Goshen Dashi, Zhejiang Engineering, University for half a year. So through this sort of experience, I'll be some of this, a sort of professionals or specialists on Chinese cultural affairs. So this is, a status quo or Japan Foundation staff member. I think it's a good part of the foundation work. Okay, time's come. I'd like to leave, second speaker, Dr. Kim, to speak on Korean cultural affairs. Enough time.
Okay, good morning. Firstly, I want to thank to National Taiwan University of Art to invite for this wonderful occasion. Also, Ministry of Culture and the speakers of this morning. I learned a lot, so I changed a lot, and the staff who worked so hard, and mostly listener who came here in very bright Saturday morning. It's very difficult to come here, and so I thank to all, and I will start my speech. I'll try to do shortly, but before I start my presentation, I want to explain one story. A few years ago, as you know, the Korean pop music became some boom, like Psy, Gangnam Style, Big Bang, and some G-Dragon that I don't like, Estra, and you like, okay. But the Korean government said it's too loudly, it's our state big success, and Korean people say it's our success, and I said, no, they like Big Bang, not Republic of Korea. Do not emphasize. But they started to emphasize, and scholars said it's a Korean some brand, and I said, no, it's a pop music, it's other thing. And suddenly, there had been some debate politics with People's Republic of China and Korea, And so, suddenly, the mainland China canceled every pop concert, G-Dragon, EXO, ESTA, etc., and they censored Korean dramas. So I said, it's because of you. You are mixing culture and politics together. Now you have a problem. Do not do that again. And so what I'm trying to say is, it's more private, artistic, professional cooperation we need than cultural diplomacy. And from now on, I'll explain a little bit about Korea's governmental system of cultural cooperation. Okay. So the most important part of Korean exchange system is COSIS, Central Governmental Body, Korean Overseas Culture and Information Service, started in 1971, and it's now governmental body, so every workers are there, our officer. One of the important thing is they operate 32 Korean Cultural Center, and the director is operated by Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The directors are diplomats. And at 1970, it was okay that the officer operate Korean Cultural Center like Japan Foundation, but it is now governmental body. At first, it was important because in 1970, nobody knows Korea. So we want to show it's a nation. When I say I'm from Korea, and in 1970, I was very young, but everyone think about Korean War, not Korean itself. So each government office who needs some cultural diplomacy to promote. Second, if some artists want to cooperate with other country in 1970 and 60, it was very difficult. So they need governmental power to cooperate with, for example, Taiwanese artists and Korean artists. They need governmental body. Third, in that area, the former cooperation was very important. It was Cold War area time. So it was an officer who did a lot in that Korean Cultural Center. But now everything changed. At that time, in 1970, the target was cultural diplomacy. But now it's more private and professional cultural cooperation that Korean Cultural Center needs. Also, that's why for the Korean Cultural Center, they need more professionalism, which the officer cannot have. And second, more flexibility. Also, it is very hard for officer to have flexibility. Third, service-oriented mind. And some officers, yes, but mostly it's very hard for officers to have service-oriented mind. So it must be changed, but it's not changed. So there's some debate now. That's why my best close friend, Professor Hong Ki-won and Professor Yoon, she's a specialist in that area. She's always insisting to make Korean Cultural Center more private foundation, like Japan Foundation. If it's like an officer, it doesn't work anymore. But it is working, so now we are always insisting we must change to the more independent body, like Japan Foundation, but it's not changed. So it's the problem. So every strategy and policy come from this COSIS and Korean Cultural Center. So anyway, there has been some changes. Second, Korea Foundation. We have a foundation like Japan Foundation, but it's not like Japan Foundation. It's the same thing is it's operated by Foreign Affairs, but it's not around the whole world. The office is in Seoul, and some few correspondents stays in other countries. And at first, it was based on Ministry of Culture and Information. Now it's based on Foreign Affairs. What they are doing mostly is promoting Korean studies. So it's the professor or scholar who works mostly with Korea Foundation. About 20 years ago, many artists work with Korea Foundation, but Ministry of Culture launched in 1991, and many artists cope with the Ministry of Culture, then Korea Foundation. So they are focusing now on to promote Korean study, like Korean language, Korean history, Korean art history. So it's a little bit different from Japan Foundation. But one thing the same is it's operated by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it's independent private foundation. The fund is coming from the government, and the King Sejong Institute is very recent. It's started 2012. At first, we were planning to have something like Gongju Institute or Goethe Institute, and because we wanted some scholars and policy makers wanted to gather the function of a Korean Cultural Center, but it didn't happen because the officers were too strong. But so they are now doing some. What they are doing is learning Korean and make learning Korean. And as it's a more private foundation, it's more freely operated. And there are two King Sejong Institute in Taiwan too, in Dunhua, Nanlu, and in Taipei, and also in Kaohsiung. So it's all very limited to Korean language learning. But it's growing very fast. So we are thinking of put some culture and art with the Sejong Institute, but it's ongoing. Other thing is the Korean Foundation for International Cultural Exchange. It's very small, but it's very, very important for the cultural industry. When we talk with the members of Korea coffees, I always told them, you are spy, like a cultural spy. Because they are all around the world and they search what they need and what they like, and give that information to the SM or pop stars or managers and filmmakers, and saying, for example, in Taiwan, they love extra kind of music, and they make music with the help. So I call them cultural spy, but they are not really spy because they open all their report. If you go to that homepage, you can find every Hallyu report in each year. It's about how the K-pop or Korean wave goes, and they do the report and open. So it's not really a spy, but this year it changed. Until last year, it is only creative industry, but now it's all mixed with cultural cooperation system. So it will be changed, not only cultural industry, but with art and cultural cooperation with private groups. And for the last 2017, it's the first act enacted by the new government about culture. It's International Cultural Exchange Promotion Act. And I was a little bit pity because we want to put more power for the private, and but it is yet more governmental. But Ministry of Culture Act, the International Cultural Exchange Promotion Act, to systemize all the work of a governmental body, because in Foreign Affairs, in Ministry of Education, everything was doing their job, but there was no strategy and no reliance or network. So it's to make some network, not ruling, because Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs don't like the Ministry of Culture rule every cultural exchange thing. So it's the purpose is networking or the system of cultural exchange in governmental body. But so it's a very new act, and with the act, it has some point about professional artists or manager who can work or monitoring and support for the freelancer going outside. And we are thinking, and what I want to say is, until now, but it is a Korean Cultural Center who rule the system of cultural cooperation. But in such a system of Korea, as we talked yesterday, many artists and organizations can cooperate without the help of Korean Cultural Center. Sometimes they become burden. Like former government, for example, if some art association want to cooperate with some art association in France, there was some pressure. It is against the governmental vision, etc. So sometimes it became burden. So what we need is government can support and listen to the many associations who are already very good at international cooperation, not ruling and some make a point, etc. So it's now time that many professional and associated artists are very good at cooperation. And there's one thing the government should support is local cooperation. Many artists, very famous and celebrated or very grown, are good at exchange in internet exchange. But new artists from local field, it is yet very difficult to cooperate with international associations. So government can support, not force, support the local artists, the local association more and more cooperate. And I think it's doing, because the actual President Moon, when he was elected as president, he said, from now on, Korea is a local autonomy country, not central country. So he put very power on the local authority and the local culture. So it's time for the Korean government or Korean system help more for local and give more freedom for artist exchange. And I hope in next year Korean Cultural Center becomes private foundation like Japan Foundation. That's what I'm thinking, and I think it's the same problem in Taiwan and mainland China and in other Asian countries who the government plays too much role on cultural diplomacy than cultural cooperation. So I think it's time we must change. Yeah, and thanks for listening this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Kim. He gave us a very general picture of all the framework to understand, Korean culture, and especially from the point of view of history. This is very important. Each country has its own, specific situation. Environmental, situation. So that I think we have common background and all different background, so that we have make some comparison to understand in more depth. Okay, then I like to ask today's discussant, Mr. Hong Yi-Lin Shinshan. He is a director of planning, general planning department, Minister of Culture. Could you give us some comment? And also, we have still enough time. You can say anything, whatever you want. Okay, please.
谢谢小杨教授哈。那请容我以中文来说明。听了日本跟韩国的这个说明之后呢，我想要分享一下台湾的这个目前中介组织的发展。那台湾的中介组织发展里头呢，有分为这个行政法人，还有财团法人的方式来进行。那另外还有一个比较特殊的是用这个社团法人的方式来运作。那社团法人方式来运作的时候是比较特殊的情形，那这个部分我会等一下再做一个综合的报告。那财团法人跟行政法人呢，那事实上，在我们过去实务上运作的时候，财团法人是早于行政法人开始在运作的，因为早年开始的时候，我们财团法人的运作跟发展是比较以民法的方式来运作是比较早跟成熟的。所以早年我们成立了国家文化艺术国艺会这个组织来处理这个文化艺术发展的事务。那现在在我们文化部主管的13个行政财团法人里头，那随着107年的财团法人法公布，那未来的整个财团法人的发展跟法制会更趋于完备。那第二个要讲到的是行政法人。那行政法人其实是在大概是在2002年的时候开始由国家两厅院开始来施行行政法人的制度。那行政法人的制度从2002年国家两厅院开始施行之后，那大概经过了5、6年的运作，那觉得这个制度本身是比较成熟跟顺畅。那之后也发表了这个行政法人法来处理整个行政法人。那目前呢，文化部成立的行政法人有国家表演艺术中心，那另外还有这个县市政府，比如说像高雄，它也成立了专业行政法人机构，台南的台南美术馆也成立了这个行政法人运作。那现在我们台湾的这个财团法人这几个比较重要的财团法人，我大概报告一下。以财团法人国家文化艺术基金会来讲，它的任务就比较庞杂一点，它包括从事于补助艺文团体的这个任务。那另外呢，有一些必须要由财团法人来运作的这个机制里头比如说艺文团队的这个补助运作，还有资源的这个下放这个部分，渐渐的在国家文化艺术基金会，它也扮演了这个很重要的角色，尤其是郑部长上任之后对于这个表演艺术团体的这个扶持团队的业务整个都下放到国艺会来操作。那今年2018年就是大概编了大概将近2.26亿左右的经费给国艺会。那明年的那个预算还会再成长一些，这个部分是比较重要的。那另外一个就是台湾的这个外交处境比较特殊，那像有一些外交事务上面比较适合由民间团体来运作的这个部分比如说我们现在有文化台湾基金会，那这个部分就比较像刚刚2位讲者所报告的这个外交上面的这个交流文化交流的这个部分的工作。那另外一个就是我们渐渐的把以前我们经管的这个财团法人比较低度运作的部分呢，渐渐赋予他们比较重要的工作，比如说像台湾生活美学基金会，那我们把空总就是未来的那个文化实验室的工作交给了这个台湾生活美学基金会来运作。那未来呢，这个就是我们会委托他去运作这个台湾当代文化实验局，也就是 C-Lab 的这个业务就是打造台湾的这个文化创新生态系的这个部分。那另外一个部分大概就是国家电影中心。那国家电影中心它其实在成立的历史上面是比较悠久一点。那 过往它大概典藏了台湾的重要的电影资产，那未来怎么运用这些电影资产再去做活化，或者是再做一些价值运用，那也是国家电影中心的主要任务。那另外大概再跟大家报告就是台湾我们目前的这个行政法人，那行政法人从这个2厅院开始之后，那我们在2014年的时候成立了国家表演艺术中心，那底下涵盖了这个台北2厅院，那渐渐的再把这个台中歌剧院以及今年10月13号成立的惠宇国家表演艺术中心变成一法人多管所的这个运作。那这种表演有别于行政法人有别于财团法人的这个运作上呢，事实上它财团法人是以财产这个基金来运作，来当成是一个主要的一个运作的范畴。那然后用这个基金或者是用募款的方式来处理它的这个相关业务。但是行政法人它比较特殊的地方是，它其实有经管它的这个场馆以及它的主要的这个资产，来当成是它的这个运作主体。当然，我们政府也会每年会补助支持这个行政法人的运作。那以国家2厅院来，以这个国家表演艺术中心来讲，这个国家表演艺术中心，它除了这个场馆运作之外，就是包括了台北2厅院、台中歌剧院跟惠宇表演艺术中心之外，它底下还有扶持的国家交响乐团，也就是 NSO 的这个艺文团队的这个扶持，所以它的经营是比这个财团法人更加的这个多元化的这个推动它的业务。那另外就是现在县市政府也渐渐的觉得说，行政法人的工作基本上对于法规松绑、对于财务松绑、人员禁用的松绑，他们渐渐觉得这个制度是可行的制度，所以现在的高雄成立了专业行政法人机构，它下辖了高雄的电影馆、高雄的历史博物馆以及高雄美术馆，它也是一个一法人多管所。它从这个制度里头，它可以去松绑它的人事，松绑它的采购，松绑它的财务所以现在的渐渐县市政府也觉得说，这样的一个行政法人运作对于它的这个机制上面是有帮助的。那另外再补充报告就是社团法人，事实上台湾的外交处境是比较特殊一点，所以我们的社团法人为什么会由社团法人来从事这样的一个中介组织的工作？举个例子来说，明年在2019年京都的 ICON 大会，那 ICON 大会里头，我们没有一个比较专业的组织，因为台湾不能够以这个政府的名义来参加 ICON 大会，所以呢，我们就透过中华民国博物馆学会，借由中华民国博物馆学会来帮我们申请跟处理有关于这样的一个ICON 大会的一个介入跟参与。那它是一个社团法人的形式去运作，所以社团法人里头它就会有董监事，它会有理监事，更正一下就是它会有理监事的这个成员。那这个理监事成员里头，我们的所属博物馆，我们所属的公立博物馆，它就会去参与这样的一个理事的这个担任这样的角色。那渐渐的，我们的政府的有一些公立博物馆的这一些馆长或者是里面的馆员担任的这一些学会的这个重要干部之后呢，那我们就可以透过这样的一个组织来参与其他的这一个像这个2019年的京都大会这样的一个国际上面的参与。那我跟各位报告大概就是现在我们台湾有关于中介组织运作上面的概况，那请大家再指教，谢谢。
Thank you very much, Sterling. And we also understand Taiwan's cultural situation, cultural policy. Now please come up to the stage
and we like to have a discussion time, question and answer time.
Please sit down. Any question? Please.
Hello, my name is Jining Wei. I'm from Taiwan Association of Cultural Policy Studies, and I have questions for Dr. Kim.
Survey in 2015, approximately 3.6 million people are studying Japanese in schools and institutions. So we extend support to promote the Japanese language education in foreign countries. And the third category is called Japanese Studies and Intellectual Exchange. In many universities abroad, there are scholars and researchers who are specifically doing research on Japan. They study Japanese history, Japanese society, Japanese literature, etc. So we give assistance to those institutions and researchers by providing, for example, a fellowship program to Japan or grant money for doing the joint research. And we also support the activities and initiative by Japanese and other countries' specialists who are tackling the so-called global issues like climate change or environmental issues or etc. So this issue not necessarily directly involved to Japan, but if if the project has the international collaborative aspect, we can extend our support to those initiatives. Okay. And you can see the detail here, and then, these are the example of our activities in each field. And I just would like to tell specifically about the recent initiative of the Japan Foundation. The Japan Foundation established the new center, which is called Asia Center, in 2014. So there are two major programs of this center. One is the programs of support Japanese language learning. So I forgot to mention, this center is called Asia Center, but currently targeting ASEAN countries, South Asian countries. And the first major category of the program of the Asia Center is Japanese language program. So we dispatch Japanese volunteers to secondary school, junior high school, high school of Southeast Asian countries to teach Japanese together with local teachers. At the same time, these volunteers are encouraged to do the kind of cultural exchange programs for wider public. So from year 2014 up to 2020, in this 7-year period, we are planning to dispatch about 3,000 volunteers to these three ASEAN countries. And the second category of the Asia Center programs is two-way arts and cultural exchange programs. So these programs covers relatively wide range of field, ranging from sports and films and also the performing arts and some regional, intellectual exchange programs. this is a concept of Asia Center. So we call it the 4C. Starting from the base. The basement is first we communicate each other and connect and share. And the third is we collaborate. And in the end, we create together. So first communicate and get to know each other and share the information we have. And we do the actual collaboration or collaborative project. And we create the new culture together. And these are the idea of the Asia Center. Of course, sometimes it's a bit difficult to, follow this path. Yeah. But we try our best to fulfill this idea together with our counterparts in Asian countries. Okay. Well, basically, that's it for the Japan Foundation, explanation of the Japan Foundation. And, well, personally, I now work in the Tokyo headquarters of the Japan Foundation, but I had the opportunity to work in 3 Asian countries. I was first assigned to the Philippines in 1996. And I worked there for about 4 years. And then I was appointed to our Beijing office in 2006, and I worked there for about 4 years. And most recently, I worked in Seoul, Korea, from year 2013 until 2015. Yeah. This experience gives me a very wonderful insight to Asian society and community. And each country has a very abundant, colorful culture. Yeah, I'm very proud that we Asians live in such a wonderful environment. Yeah, of course, China, Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, or South Asian countries, were geographically very close, but culturally very diverse. And sometimes, of course, this arises some friction, but I think this is the strength of Asia. So we should know better. We should not get to know each other more. And we can benefit from sharing experience and some insights or etc. Yeah. And now Japan is accepting more and more foreign tourists. Yeah. For about maybe 10 years ago, we have only 5 million tourists. Now we have 30 million. Yeah, 30 million. Yeah, and we are targeting 40 million by 2020. Yeah, so we have so many foreigners, and the majority are coming from Asian countries. And of course, this kind of personal exchange gives a chance for Asian people to know other cultures more, in depthly and more closely. So I think cultural intermediaries the role of cultural intermediaries is, of course, to enhance and improve the quality of art of each individual country. But if we, stress and put forward more international collaborative component, we will get fruitful results in the future. And Japan Foundation is dedicated to do that. in the future, in the coming future too. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kojima. We used to work together at the Japan Foundation. So Japan Foundation, though it's a semi-governmental agency, but our staff member, for instance, he was dispatched to Philippines and China and also Korea. That means
and also for Mr. Kojima. And firstly for Dr. Kim, and I would like to know from your final remark, you said that the governments may put too heavy hands on cultural diplomacy. But on the other hand, I would like to know your opinion. Is that in terms of cultural diplomacy and cultural relations, is there any irreplaceable role that the government should play in the whole process? That's the question I would like to know from you. And for Mr. Kojima, and you shared your career path in the in Japan Foundation, and we know that you have been to several places in Asia. So one question is, in terms of being a good cultural attaché in serving this kind of cultural exchange jobs, what do you think is the most important character that these people in this foundation should have if the students here, they would like to be future cultural attachés? Secondly, of course, the rotation of these officers and everyone in the place is very limited. And what do you think these officers can utilize their term in different countries to gain more knowledge and understanding for each country's culture? So that's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. First, Mr. Kim, Dr. Kim.
Yes, I will answer first. There is I can speak. Okay, there is a definitely role of government. It's not being office in the center, cultural center in abroad. No, it's because once I talked with director of cultural center of Poland. He doesn't speak Polish. He don't know artistic. So he spent 2 years knowing what's going on in Poland. And it's after third year he came back. So, but if he's in government, he can do some network. If some artists from performing art want to have some relation with the National History Museum of Taiwan, then government can help. So it's networking and help supporting system that government should do. And there's one thing that I think the cultural center of Korea must be be not offices. There's one example I can say. In Taiwan, for the about culture and tourism, there's only one branch abroad body in Taiwan. It's tourism, Korean Tourism Board. It can be in Taiwan because it's not governmental body. It's a government supported body, but private. But Korean Cultural Center is the office, so they cannot come here. So I want Korean Cultural Center and other abroad center be more privatized that it can come to Taiwan. And other things, there's a few other things. There's a few countries that it is very difficult for individual artists to cooperate. Sometimes they need some official appointment. So in that case, it's very few, or 10 or 15 countries that government power is needed. But mostly what is needed is doing some network and support by fund, etc., etc. Not doing some strategy, pushing strategy. That's what I want to say.
Well, of course, so each country has a different culture and a different style, working style. So the first most important thing for the cultural, I mean, you may call attaché for our organization stationed in foreign offices is that openness and flexibility. You can adjust to the working styles or programs flexibly in accordance to the local context. And of course, you need to you try to understand as much as possible the local concern and the needs of the local people in the field of culture and arts. And of course, the language, learning local language is one of the important things. Of course, we cannot be, we cannot have the proficiency of all the languages, but at least you should try to learn some of languages and then try to directly communicate with local people there. And of course, since we have a kind of rotation system, the working duration of each countries are limited, usually 3 to 4 years. But since the Japan Foundation, our organization, is specifically doing international cultural exchange, the experience in overseas assignments will be utilized in other departments in the future. And sometimes, in my case, for example, after working in China and Philippines, I worked in the department doing the Asian programs in Tokyo headquarters. So during that year, I often travel to Asian countries on business and follow up on the update the networks I nurtured during my overseas working days. So in comparison to the diplomats, of course, they are stationed in many countries as overseas attaché, and some of them are dealing with cultural affairs. But they need to cover from security issues, economic issues, and sometimes do cultural issues. But in our case, we are specifically doing cultural exchange, so we can level up the professionalism in our field. So that's the strength of our foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. In other words, perhaps Japan Foundation staff can be not only a program officer, but also regional officer too. We have two sides. This is a very good chance for them. Any other questions? Dr. Liu Xin.
Yes, Jerry Liu from National Taiwan University of Arts. I have a question for all three speakers. Now we have found out there are so many cultural intermediaries in all countries, in Korea, in Japan, and also in Taiwan. We have so many, and now it's difficult to really coordinate among all those cultural intermediaries, and then to find a voice to also do international cultural exchanges. So I would be asking, well, in your own opinion, right, how do you think this could work better? How do you coordinate different voices in the different cultural intermediary inside your country, and then how do they, through your through your international foundations, then speak out with other nations. That's probably some of the my question I want to hear about your own opinion. Thank you.
Okay, that's the same thing we talked about that yesterday. It's a very difficult question, but there is some point that we can have. For example, yesterday we were talking about artists in residency in Taiwan, and in Korea I had the experience. There are some artists who really wanted to do their experiment and creative works in Taiwan, and who didn't have opportunity and who didn't know, because sometimes artists are not very good at information, administrative information. But I heard that there are some Koreans come to Dansui or Treasure Hill, and so I think the first thing is giving information, and giving information not only for artistic but administrative information, immigration information. How can he stay 1 year or 2 years? So first one is most important is doing information, more information, and keep in touch. Then we can have more and more problem solving. It's the same with North Korea and South Korea. If we meet 2 times, 3 times, we became more we know more information for other countries, and we became more friendly, and we can cooperate in 3 years, 4 years. We cannot do in 1 day, but if we give information, so information is the first role that the coordination and intermediary platform can do. So it's what I can say. It's very difficult question, but yeah, thank you.
Well, this is a really difficult question. And nowadays, more and more organizations are doing international collaborative activities by themselves. Well, when our foundation was set up in 1972, we are the only windows for the other countries overseas. But nowadays, of course, the museums or theater companies or the artists themselves, they can go directly overseas and then interact with the counterparts there. So but that's a good thing, but when it comes to the coordination, it's getting more and more difficult. And as I said, the Japan Foundation is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and under the Ministry of Education, there is another organization called Agency for Cultural Affairs. And they are also strengthening the international exchange programs these days. So sometimes, I don't know how to say, but sometimes we compete each other. But we try our best to avoid the conflict, and then get a better coordination. So we have a kind of the meeting every now and then, and then exchange information about our activities, and then how to maximize the each organization's activity. And also from the point of view of the national government, the cabinet, secretariat of cabinet has the kind of the committee, inviting all the related ministries and agencies, and sometimes we discuss these issues. So that's one of the way of doing the good coordination. Yeah, thank you.
其实，谢谢。我就以文化部的角度来谈这件事情。基本上来讲，我们在国际交流这件事情是个别赋予每个基金会不同的任务， 那或者是其他中介组织不同的任务。那以文化交流基金会来讲，那它可能就是比较一般性的哦，比如说我今天有一个国际交流的业务，那赋予它之后，那它就由这个基金会继续运作。那其他比较属于特殊性的，像我刚刚提到的明年2019年的 ICOM 京都大会这件事情，那可能我们就会借重这个博物馆学会的这一个组织，然后赋予它这样的去整合其他博物馆或者是公立博物馆跟私立博物馆之间的这个整合工作，就可能请这个博物馆协会去处理这件事情。所以我们可能就整个不同的任务赋予之后，然后去处理它不同赋予工作的这个交流工作，大概是这个情形上。
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question? Don't hesitate, huh? This is the last, session in the morning, so we have still 10 minutes or so. Or get hungry. Hey, okay, please.
你好，我想要请问的是，反而是司长的部分哈，因为刚刚其实从韩国跟日本的他们的一个基金会里面，其实还学到蛮多的。所以您刚刚又有提到，就是台湾即将会有一个文化台湾的基金会，所以会很期待它到底是一个什么样的中介组织吗？还是它是一个文化部下面的一个直属的单位呢？就这是我很好奇的。那主要是因为我们现在在海外其实有文化中心，那这彼此之间的任务是会相处重叠的吗？还是有什么样的分工？那尤其是其实像我们这2天一直在谈到中介组织的重要性，就是它的一个专业治理。那从日本跟韩国例子上面，我们也的确看到，就是在于专业治理以及就是有预算之后，那国家并不介入，而是由专业去治理的这个方法，其实都得到了很大的收获。这2天，那对，所以就很期待，就是也很想知道，就是文化部未来对于文化台湾基金会这样一个组织，它到底会做哪些事情，是很期待的。谢谢。
文化台湾基金会目前就已经有成立了，这个是已经还蛮久的一个基金会。那事实上，以前在运作的时候是比较应该怎么解释？就是它的运作基本上是比较低度的运作。那渐渐的，我们在郑部长上台之后，那赋予它比较多的，比如说像文化交流、国际外宾的接待，以及国际活动、交流活动的业务。那它其实是比较属于这样的一个工作。那另外还会赋予它一个智库的工作，就是交流智库的工作。那至于说其他我们在驻外各个外国这边代表处或者是交流中心，那现在其实也有一些渐渐的把它转型成这个台湾书院啊，或者是像东京、像纽约、像洛杉矶这边其实都有这一些交流单位的存在。那这个部分是属于比较我们官方的性质存在，大概是这个情形。
可以了吗 ？Okay. Is there any other question? Any question? Okay. If there's nothing else to add, then I think I'd like to wrap up this meeting. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
May I invite all participants to come to the center? We want to take a group photo together. Yeah. So if you come to the center, 大家可不可以请大家一起到中间这2、3排？我们想要拍一个大合照，好不好？那欢迎大家一起。